Welcome, folks. Today we're diving into a fascinating intersection of politics, technology, and economic policy that unfolded at the White House Tech Dinner of 2025.
Absolutely. It was quite the event with, all the big names in tech and a very charged atmosphere.
Right. And the dinner set the stage for debates on AI innovation. You had President Trump himself alongside power players like Zuckerberg, Tim Cook, and even Bill Gates. They
Exactly.
were hashing out big investments and policy directions.
Yeah, and I found it interesting how the event was supposed to be in the Rose Garden, but had to move to the state dining room because of the weather. It's almost like the setting itself symbolized an unexpected pivot in the conversation.
Exactly, and that change in venue almost mirrored the shifts in tone. The evening balanced massive promises of AI fueled growth against some, well, significant concerns about inequality and
Right.
regulation.
Speaking of AI, one thing that really caught my attention was the huge financial pledges being discussed, like Meta's staggering $600 billion investment in U.S. infrastructure.
Yeah, it's like these tech giants are betting big on AI and domestic projects. Tim Cook with Apple's similar pledge, plus Google and Microsoft throwing in billions.
Exact
Though it
amounts
makes
really
you
drive
wonder,
that point
are
home.
these investments going to truly trickle down to benefit everyone?
That's the crux, isn't it? The promise of economic growth versus the risk of widening inequality. On one side, you're getting billions of dollars fueling innovation and job creation, but on the other, there's the fear of consolidating power with just a few tech behemoths.
Spot on. And while the dinner celebrated the idea of promoting US tech leadership, it was also a bit of an uncanny display of fealty, if you will, to Trump's deregulation policies.
Yep, that was a bold political statement. Right, it's almost like the dinner was a microcosm of America's bigger struggle. How do we balance rapid innovation with the need for, actual safeguards?
Exactly. Freedom to innovate versus the responsibility to protect society. There was this clear divide in the conversation on AI regulations. Some argued for minimal oversight to keep the competitive spark alive, while critics urged more robust frameworks to prevent abuses like misinformation or privacy invasions.
Yeah, a very delicate balance. And let's not forget the energy debate. Trump emphasized energy dominance as essential to supporting those massive AI data centers.
Yep, and that's a double-edged sword, isn't it? On one hand, you have investments in grid expansion and nuclear or renewable permits boosting domestic production. But on the flip side, the environmental cost is huge. Training one AI model can be equivalent to the emissions of several cars over their lifetimes.
Environmental concerns really add a necessary caution. True, and critics pointed out that ramping up energy supplies without a green transition could, ironically, accelerate climate change. It's interesting how even at such high-level meetings, nobody really dived deep into sustainable practices, right?
Exactly. It's like you have this techno-optimism in the air, but the sustainability issues seem almost brushed aside. And then there's the whole education aspect. Melania Trump's task force aimed to empower students with AI, kind of like nurturing digital minds for the future.
Nurturing future talent is a great vision, but the ethical dilemmas loom large too. Using AI in education has its bright side with innovation contests and STEM promotion, yet deepfakes and misinformation could disrupt trust in, our institutions and learning environments.
Yeah, that's a fair concern. And you can almost see the tension. As tech investments soar, the risks of bias, job displacement, and privacy issues continue to increase.
Right? It's a trade-off scenario. I remember one of the critiques mentioned how the benefits might stay with shareholders while the average worker could end up being left behind.
Exactly. And that's where the whole equity argument comes into play. Massive investments could solidify US leadership, but if they widen the gap between tech elites and everyday citizens, then there's a dangerous imbalance.
The social equity aspect is critical here. Now, looping back to the discussion on regulations, I found it interesting that tech leaders really pushed for a minimal regulatory approach. But isn't that a bit risky given the controversies over AI misuse we're already seeing?
That's a valid point indeed. While leaders like Altman and Pichai praised a light-touch regulatory framework to foster innovation, many, including critics like Senator Hawley, warned that this could lead to unchecked risks.
Yeah, it's really a cautious optimism, isn't it? Exactly. And I'd even challenge the notion a bit. A free-for-all in tech might spur innovation, but it can also lead to serious societal harms such as surveillance abuses or, well, deep fake misuse.
True, and that's where the debate very clearly landed on a sort of knife edge. It makes one wonder if policy could ever truly keep pace with these rapidly developing technologies.
The pace of innovation versus policy is a classic conundrum. And there was also the political angle that tied everything together. The dinner wasn't just about tech. It was a clear nod towards bipartisanship in tech policy, yet with notable tensions, like the absence of Elon Musk.
Right, Musk's absence was a very visible gap because of a public fallout. It made the tech elite list look almost, curated for a particular flavor of political allegiance.
That was definitely a political statement. It almost looked like the event was as much a political rally as a tech dinner, with tech CEOs pledging billions, not just for growth, but also to show support for Trump's policies.
Exactly. And that raises an important question. Are these investments truly about economic boom, or do they risk being co-opted into political favoritism and cronyism?
It's a critical perspective to consider. And then there's the underlying question of what happens to, say, those jobs that could be displaced by automation or AI? Isn't that a bit of an open wound in this whole debate?
Yeah, absolutely. While tech leaders promise job creation and economic advantages through these massive investments, studies and critics highlight that millions of jobs in sectors like manufacturing and customer service could be at risk.
It's a cautionary tale. It's like the champagne at a celebration that, under the surface, hides some of the more bitter truths.
Exactly. A very vivid analogy. And speaking of contrasts, the dinner really put two conflicting narratives on the table. One of unbridled technological advancement versus the risk of ethical erosion and societal instability.
Yes, a classic case of ambition versus responsibility. And amidst it all was the emphasis on U.S. competitiveness, particularly against China. There was this aggressive push to solidify America's role as the tech superpower.
Right, with all these trillions of dollars being played with, it's a strategic chess move to outpace competitors on the global stage. But sometimes I wonder if that kind of competitive fervor overshadows more pressing domestic concerns like inequality or environmental sustainability.
That's a fair critique. Exactly. And the critics didn't hold back. They pointed out that such aggressive funding might widen the gap between those at the top and the everyday worker.
Right, and that's a concern echoed by many observers. It's like, while the tech giants celebrate their leaps in AI, a lot of people might be left grappling with the fallout of, say, job automation and, increased living costs.
Definitely. And while we're on the subject of challenges, the discussion about energy was another layered issue. I mean, was it really addressed enough that while we're powering progress, we don't inadvertently fuel environmental peril?
Absolutely. Energy is the backbone of modern AI infrastructure. But the focus on energy dominance sidesteps the environmental costs, which are huge. Without a robust green strategy, the push for more energy could worsen climate issues.
Yep, that's a real concern. In many ways, this dinner was a mirror reflecting America's ambition to stay ahead technologically, while simultaneously forcing us to ask whether that ambition comes at an unacceptable cost.
Precisely. It showcased the tremendous potential of AI-driven innovation, but also served as a stark reminder of the responsibility we have to manage those risks ethically and equitably.
Well said. Ultimately, the event was a microcosm of our times, where groundbreaking investments and technological promises meet serious unresolved challenges.
Exactly. It's like we're witnessing history in the making, where the balance between progress and responsibility will shape the future of society.
Right, absolutely. Thanks for this deep dive. I think it really highlights both the excitement and the caution we need as we navigate this new tech frontier.
For sure, a truly engaging conversation that reminds us that while the future is bright, it's also fraught with challenges we simply can't ignore.
And on that thoughtful note, we'll wrap up today's discussion. Thanks for tuning in and stay curious.